What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Walking Dead video. Today I'm going to be reviewing Season 8 Episode 1, Mercy. So this episode came out just the other day. I've watched it and now I'm going to go over what happens in this episode. So there will be spoilers. This is a spoiler video, so if you haven't seen the episode yet and you don't want to know what happens, then do not watch this. Go and watch the episode first and then come back and listen to my review afterwards. I'm just going to be going through some of the main things that happen in this episode and just going through what I think could be happening here, what could possibly be happening in the future, and stuff like that. So the episode starts off with, it just starts off with going over a little bit of what happened in the last episode of Season 7. And then we get into it. We have this brief little thing showing this like cane. We saw this in the trailer. We don't really know what this is at this current point in time, but at the point at this point in the video in the episode, but that starts off like that, and then we get into Alexandria, the Hilltop, and the Kingdom all preparing to go and kind of take on the Saviors. They're fitting cars with metal shields, so that they can drive in and not get shot at, basically, or at least not directly. They'll shoot at these shields on the cars. They can take cover behind them as well. So they're preparing to take on the sanctuary of the saviors. Then after a little bit of other things happening, we have a little bit of a speech from Rick talking about taking on the saviors, and then Ezekiel gets a little bit of a speech in there as well, and then Maggie as well, because these are known as these are really the three leaders. Rick's the leader of Alexandria, Ezekiel is the leader of the kingdom, and Maggie's kind of now the leader of the kingdom. It was Gregory, in some ways it still is Gregory, but I feel like Maggie is really taking over more, and people they prefer Maggie over Gregory, I would say. So we have all them making their little speeches, and that's really a pretty cool thing there. Also, in between all this, we have Daryl and Dwight messaging each other via shooting crossbow arrows at each other, and with messages on them. Dwight still being in the sanctuary, so they're kind of communicating with each other. So that's interesting to see there. I really do think Dwight, I don't think he's messing around. I think Dwight is coming to the good side. In Season 7, it was kind of like, is he not? It's a bit hard to tell. I'm pretty sure he has switched over now, though, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. A little later on, we get to see the old Rick. We saw this in the trailer with the whole cane thing. So this is where we figure out what's going on here. It's basically just a kind of dream of Rick's possible future, and it's like, okay, well, fine, but one thing I don't like about this episode is how they are constantly switching, and we see this a little bit later on, but they're constantly switching between preparing for the fight in against the Saviors. Then they're also switching between this whole dream thing with Rick, and also a little later on we see them switching to another slight little point, and it's a little bit all over the place. That's one of the things I don't like about this episode. Everything is just a little bit all over the place. We then switch to Carl searching for gas, this is basically, we saw this in the trailer. A lot of people are linked, kind of thought about this and were like, this is a hell of a lot like what Rick did in episode 1 of Season 1, where he was searching for gas when he finds a little girl. A lot of the same camera shots and stuff, but eventually Carl ends up finding another survivor. We only see him for a brief second, and then Rick scares him away by shooting his gun. I think this guy is going to become more of a... we're going to see a lot more of him in the season, I think, because I'm pretty sure he showed up in the trailer a bit more. So I guess this guy, I don't think he is a savior. I think he's just another survivor, or maybe he's somebody that used to be with the saviors and somehow he's managed to get away. I don't really know, but I reckon this guy, we're going to find out more about him later on in the series. Then we have all the groups clearing out the lookout. So I think it's Rick or someone has this sheet, and they have a bunch of these lookout towers that the saviors have got. And they're taking out all these lookout towers. So a couple of people, the saviors, die. I think someone kills one, Morgan kills one, Daryl kills one, and then we see where Daryl gets that gun from that we saw in the trailer with the kind of marks on it, as to how many people. Well, what I can presume is the savior was counting how many people he had killed with his weapon. Well, now Daryl's got that weapon, so there we go. That's something that we were wondering from the trailer. So that's really good. We also, around kind of all the way through the episode, we see Tara, Carol, Morgan for a bit, and also Daryl for a little bit as well, kind of moving this Walker horde. What we eventually find out towards the sanctuary. Kind of figured that anyway, but yeah, they're moving this horde towards the sanctuary, which is interesting as well. Then we have this whole thing where they're getting ready. They're just about to go and meet with the saviors at the sanctuary, and Maggie, Ezekiel, Rick, and all that. They're having a conversation, and Rick says something about when this is all done, Maggie, you can be the leader or something like that. And that's really ringing something to me. It's like, okay, are they trying to tease that Rick may be dying sometime this season or maybe next season? I have a strange feeling and a kind of bad feeling that Rick may die pretty soon, this season or next season, because I feel like Maggie could end up taking over the main role. She's really becoming an authority-like figure now, basically leading the Hilltop. So it is possible that maybe Rick will see his demise soon, or at least maybe he will survive, but Maggie will be taking over the group as the leader. I'm not really sure, but there was a little bit of a hint in there, so that was interesting to see. Then we see them get to the sanctuary, meet up with the saviors. They see good old Negan, and there's a little bit of a confrontation there, and that's all good. Then we see, when we go back to Rick's dream again, which is all over the place. It's like, oh, 1 minute we're here, 1 minute we're at the dream, 1 minute we're here. It's like, oh, just stay in one bloody place. I don't like the whole dream thing. First of all, this is where we see Rick with Michonne and Carl. Rick looks like an old man. I mean, he's an old man in this dream. Michonne looks just the same as she normally does, so I don't know what's going on there. We don't really get to see Carl's face, I suppose, because they can't really make him look that much older, because he does look quite young, so to have him, older, it's going to be a bit weird, so they're just going to show the back of his head. But to not even make Michonne look any older, I think is really lazy on their part. But anyway, whatever. This dream thing, I don't care about it. I do not care about this dream thing. Maybe it'll come into, maybe we'll get to know more about it throughout the season. At this current point in time, though, I do not really care for this whole dream thing at all. Then we go back to the whole Saviors thing. Negan ends up bringing out Gregory, and it turns out that Gregory, he's betrayed the Hilltop, basically, and he's like, the Hilltop stand with Negan, and he's trying to be a tough shit, but really he's a weak piece of crap. And oh god, what's happened to his voice? Why is he? I mean, is that just him trying to sound all tough or something? I really don't know, but yeah, Gregory basically comes out. He's like, oh, the Hilltop, they stand with Negan, and he's like, if you don't want to do this, then get out of the Hilltop. And basically everyone's like, well, no, we don't want to stand with Negan, so yeah, whatever. And then Jesus is like, well, Maggie is now the leader of the Hilltop, and Gregory basically gets pushed off this, well, wherever he was, like this balcony thing. And yeah, by Simon, and he's still alive, sadly, but yeah, that all happens, and then after a little bit of things going on, Rick tries to shoot Negan and has the worst aim imaginable. I thought Rick was a good shot. Turns out he's absolute crap because, well, he shoots right at Negan and misses him so many times with his gun, which is absolutely ridiculous, but there we go. And basically a firefight takes off. And although I don't think the Saviors really fought back, they were just kind of trying to run away, so they were kind of caught off guard a little bit. But yeah, Rick had such a good opportunity to kill Negan, and he completely wasted it. And when he was trying to kill him again, when he was like stuck in that little metal box thing, Gabriel's like, come on man, we gotta go. And then Gabriel goes to get away, realizes that Gregory is on the floor, and for some stupid reason, Gabriel was like, I should try and save Gregory. That dickhead Gregory, let's go and try and save him. So he tries to save him, Gregory betrays him, takes his car. Gabriel's then left behind at the sanctuary, and he goes into this little building, and it turns out that is where Negan is. And, well, now Gabriel's stuck in a little building with Negan, so that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And I think the episode ends with Carl leaving some food for that survivor again, so we get to see that survivor for a very split second at the end. And then that is the end of the episode. So what are my thoughts of season 8 episode 1 Mercy so far? Well, I think it was an okay episode. It was slow at some points. The build up to the Saviors was a little bit long, however, yeah, it wasn't too bad, I suppose. I didn't mind the whole thing where they were taking out the lookouts. I thought that was quite cool, quite interesting. Seeing Morgan actually killing some people again now is great to see. The whole horde thing was alright. I mean, we got to see Daryl do some pretty awesome things. We saw him shooting at some things and blowing up. That was pretty action-packed. But yeah, it was alright. Altogether, there's a lot of flaws with the episode. Rick clearly not shooting Negan being such a terrible shot. I don't know what was going on there. That was just a bit ridiculous. The whole Rick's future dream thing I wasn't really a big fan of. And altogether, I think the pacing was a little bit slow, but it wasn't. I don't think it was terrible. Not the best season opener, definitely not. However, I don't think it's completely awful. But anyway, that is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe. Comment what you thought of this episode in the description in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.